Hey, it's TDA and welcome back to my Dyson Sphere Program Let's Play. Last time we built this little mall where we can now pick up pretty much every building we have currently unlocked in the game. And in between last session and this session 4, I built this little power plateau over here just to make sure we have everything actually up and running. Now, we're not entirely done yet. We do need to have like the entire 2 buildings added to the process as well, which I have set up over here since me building this stuff. I think you got the point by now. However, these needs items that we don't actually have. So we need glass over here, then we have a few more buildings that need glass. From this point on we actually need steel as well, and then from this point on we need plasma exciders. So these 2 buildings both need plasma exciders. If you want to also build wireless power towers in mass productions, you can add that to this as well. They also need plasma exciders, and what you can actually do is put a belt here in the back from this storage all the way over here, or you can place this later on if you want the road to be a little bit less hectic on the back, along in the back. But I don't suggest mass producing this because again, I think if you just carry around 3 or 4 with you, that should be plenty, and you shouldn't ever need more than that, really. Now you might be wondering why there's a gap over here for these 3 buildings not producing anything, and that is because I recommend that you make those plasma exciders here on the spot like this. The plasma exciders are being made from prisms, so we also need to make prisms over here, and then because we have 2 buildings that need to be supplied with plasma exciders, we need to go in 2 directions. Now the prisms themselves are produced from glass, and hey, that's the thing that we'll be transporting in here soon anyway. Of course, we do need to make sure that we hook up the prisms to plasma exciders, the plasma exciders to the building, and we need to do that on both sides, otherwise nothing will actually be produced. And of course that kind of defeats the purpose. Now actually our science is running
The data shows this is a planet without natural silicone veins. However, you can still obtain some by smelting stone ore. While you still need a massive silicone collection, you need to find a planet rich with silicone veins as soon as possible.
Now it actually seems we have most of the research that we can do with, let's discontinue it for a moment. We have most of the research we can do with blue science, not everything just yet, but most of it. And we can actually start unlocking a few of these things as well, since we'll have the materials for them soon enough. We can make most of it already, but there's not really any rush. You can prioritize these personal upgrades, they are quite nice to have, but again, I don't think there's any rush at this stage of the game to get them. Okay, so now if you look at these buildings and what they require, you actually notice that none of them need gears anymore, so we can actually take out the entire gear line over here. Now this needs iron, but from this point on all the buildings only need steel. So what we can also do, and this is our iron line, is check where the transition is being made, that's over here, and then take out this line as well, and that will leave room for the glass that we need, and the glass will funnel into the prisms and plasma exciders as well, and then we can use this line for the steel. That means the only thing we need to do is actually make sure we have steel and glass, and that's easy enough because we have some iron over here and we have some steel over here, so let's go get working on that. Setting down a few smelters, or sorry, miners for stone. Have an outbound line here, there, and let's bring that in this direction because that's where we need to go anyway. And while we're at it, I'm out of miners, but luckily we remembered to make those miners. And there's 19 waiting for us while I'm here. Do we have smelters? No, we don't. Do we have... Let's just pick up a little bit of all the production buildings. There we go. It should last us a while. I'm also low on sorters. We fixed our sorters there. There's 130 waiting for us, so that's nice. And there's about 500 belts waiting for us as well, so that should take care of our production for the moment. And you can see how easy it is now that we have that set up. No more running back and forth, handcrafting a lot of stuff. Nope, it's just all there waiting for us to pick up and start working with. Now, we need iron and we need steel, so let's do that as well. I am actually going to set up the power towers over here for a moment so we can fix that. Let's see, we need glass. This is a nice place to make the glass. Let's have that outbound there. And then just to make it look neat, let's do it like this. And just have the iron ore parallel with that. I like to leave that little gap in between there, so you have a place to, not sure what happened there. So you have a place to put your power poles, and you can make sure you always have room to have everything up and running for power. Have that outbound, and then we need a second layer because we need steel. And then very neatly we have our final end product of steel coming out there as well. So this will be glass. Let's hold on for a moment while the drones figure out how to make all the little belts going. This will be coming in over here. And let's have it output over there, so that we can have it input over here and output over there. This will be our iron. This will be our steel. And let's see, we need everything powered. So that should take care of that. And we need to bridge this little gap that we have going here between our two parts of the base. This should probably power most of it, but I just like putting a few extra towers here on the ends. We'll probably build something else soonish there anyway. It's a little bit of a waste, but power towers are very cheap to make, so it's not a big deal. I don't think that one reached quite far enough. This one will. Power towers are really cheap to make, and we're making them literally by the hundreds now, I think. So let's check actually. So power towers, where are you? Did I not put in the power towers anywhere? Oh, it's it. I was about to say. Yeah, and there we go. 100 waiting for us. Not the hardest thing to come by at the moment for us. So there we go. Steel production is up and running. Not sure what happened there. Glass up and running. Hey, this belt was actually, well, a little bit too short. So let's fix that. The little drones are working on the rest. There we go. And then let's run over here so the drones actually power up our iron production over here. There we go. And we see this coming in. It's actually a full belt. Again, if you have two miners, each reaching at least 6 veins, you have a full belt. You have the same thing going here, and then this can take out 6. So you can actually see the belt is completely emptied by the time it reaches the end. So this is perfectly aligned. Putting up the power towers again to speed up the road production, because now we need to make sure everything reaches the places that we need it to go. So this is actually a little bit too long. And this one is as well, so we can cut that short. This one needs to go up. And nicely put over here. That should take care of the steel. And then it depends a little bit on your preference on how you align this. You can bring it very close with everything else. That just avoids getting in the way of anything else in the future. And then put in the glass. And the glass is now going in the other direction. But I think this is a much cleaner solution than trying to find a way to really like have it go in here and then move in the same direction. The only downside of doing it this way is that if you want to use the glass for anything else, yeah, you won't be able to get it out as easily. Again, same solution, and you'll have to finick around a little bit with it, or you put a splitter here and somewhere. Doesn't really matter. We don't need glass at this point for much anyway. And yeah, this should take care of all of our building needs. Now, the next step that we need to take is science. So we need some matrices labs. We will have those up and running soon enough. But what else do we need? Let's check out. We need to go for the red science next. And red science needs two things that we don't actually have. So we need this graphite, energetic graphite, which is made from coal. And we need, or actually you can make it in two ways. It's made from coal, it's the easiest way, it's most straightforward. Or you can make it from oil and hydrogen. But we don't actually have the technology yet because that technology is locked behind red science. So we need to take the first recipe at first anyway. Now the second thing is hydrogen. How do we get hydrogen? Now we can actually build these oil refineries that we have coming up here soon. And those will be providing us with oil, but also with hydrogen. So that's basically two things that we need. We need coal to turn into graphite, and then we need oil to turn into hydrogen. Now, as it turns out, if we check the map, and we turn to the north, we have coal over here, and we have oil over here. So that's really nice. We have some more coal and oil. I'm saying coil for some reason. Coils are definitely something different. There is not really any oil here to the south or to the east. It's quite far off here. So yeah, I think the best position to go for is the one up north. Now, our glass is coming in, our steel is coming in, so you can see our production buildings getting up and running. Just checking how the status is on our mech, that's fine. Just check, double check. This is all connected. Yes, it is. So that should be working fine now. And while we wait for that, I'll actually show you Neatrig, because we just transitioned into these Mark II sorters. But we've been using all the Mark 1s here, and especially if you use them over long distances, they get really slow. You can replace them one by one, but you also have the upgrade button here. And if you use this area marker and you turn off the facilities and the belts, and with plus and minus you can increase and decrease the area, you can actually upgrade all the, in this case, sorters in the belt area, or in the area that you've marked now. And if you have enough sorters, what you can do is this. Don't you just love that sound? And there we go. We replaced everything with Mark II sorters now. It also means we got a whole bunch of Mark I sorters back. There they are. So I'll put those in here, because we put that whole transfer back thingy here, so we can have them get upgraded. So yeah, there you go. It's an easy way to upgrade everything. You can also do that with everything that we already built. It's not really necessary at this point. I mean, we're not really lacking in any production of anything, and we've already used the Mark II sorters here. But yeah, you can go back and upgrade everything into Mark II sorters if that's what you want to do. Now, let's bring a few of those oil refineries. Let's bring... we only need one, but we might as well bring a stack. Let's bring some storage tanks for... storage tanks are actually the equivalent of these storage facilities, but the difference is you can only use them for liquids. So keep that in mind if you want to store anything that's liquid. We will need some more smelters. So we're almost out, so now we have 12. Do we need anything else? No, I think we're good for now. We might need to go hop back and take a few more refineries at some point. But let's start working on this first. Alright, and while we're passing here, let's pick up some more belts. You can see the inventory is quite clogging up. You can of course run back, clean it up a little bit. It's not really needed at this point, but yeah. Free up your inventory if you feel you're running out of space too often. Now we have the oil over here, and that's why we have this little building, the oil extractor, to take it out. Let's bring it a little bit to the side and have it put out there. Do I still have, yeah, I have some wind turbines on me, which is nice because we won't be using this particular space anyway. And by doing this, we can actually power it up without having to bring the power poles all the way up there. And we need to expand our power system anyway. So that's one. And we also need some miners, which we have plenty by now. Let's try to capture 6 again. Let's do it from the other direction in that case. It's being a little difficult. There we go. How shall we do this? Yeah, we might as well build over here. So. Connect that up. Then we need some smelters, and I think by now you get the gist of this. Building a few smelters over here. And then we will bring that all the way down. Ooh, that's not aligned properly. There we go. Zoom in a little bit. There we go, there we go. We have that set up. We need to power this up. I will set up my power towers again, so this is speeding up even though I was running low on energy. We need to make sure things go in this building. Go out that building. And we want to be producing graphite. There we go. We want to make sure that we are producing the maximum amount of graphite. So again, 2 miners, 6 smelters. There are some exceptions. I don't want to restart for updates right now. Thank you very much. We have oil coming in here, or actually crude oil, I should say. But that will actually suffice because we will need to turn that into something that's actually useful. And we do that by means of oil refineries. Now, if I build this, the tutorial will be starting, and I'll explain in a bit after it's done what the deal is with those oil refineries, because they are actually producing 2 different items rather than just one.
This facility will produce multiple products. To divide them, you need to set a filter on the sorter. You can use Tab or the arrow keys on the right side of the keyboard to quickly set the filter when building the sorter.
Now, like he just said, this is actually producing 2 different items, and what you can actually split those up in several ways. It depends really a little bit on how you prefer on doing that. I personally prefer doing it like this. So just having this go out on one belt. Thank you. Okay, so what you can do is if you have already set the recipe and you do a sorter like this, you can actually select what it will be filtering. So if I put it like this, it will only output hydrogen through this sorter, or only the refined oil through this sorter. If I do it like this, it will just dump everything on this belt, and that's exactly what I wanted to do right now. But by doing that, because this has multiple exits and entry spaces, what you can actually do is, for example, have all the hydrogen going on one belt and all the oil going on a different belt. You can do that. I just think it's really not necessary. There is some use for it later on when you get larger belts and larger production facilities, but for now, yeah, again, it's really not needed. Now, we're not actually using the refined oil, so what I will be doing is have it go into the sorter, and then let's make sure it actually fits over here. Yes, it does.
You built a storage tank. It is more suitable for storing fluid than the storage. Each storage tank can only store one single type of fluid and can be built vertically. However, once it has been removed, all the stored fluid will be devastated.
Oh, it will be devastated. Anyway, as you might have noticed, I had the coal unpowered, so now it should be powering and should be coming in over here. And what we will do is have this splitter set up over here and then do it like this. So we'll have the oil going down here, and that means that hydrogen is the only thing left, will be going down here. And that way we can have everything on one belt without having to go through all the trouble of splitting things up. Again, you can do it differently, but this is just an easier way to do it, I think. We are going to need, let's see, 1, 2, 3. This actually works really slow. It's on a, what is it? 4-second cycle. But it will be bringing in some hydrogen. Now this will fill up at some point, but it can take quite a lot of oil. And if you are worried that it will be too full, you can always add more, or you can stack them up like this and make sure you have enough to take with it for now. We do want to use that oil for something more productive, and that's one of the first things we'll actually research. But for now, this will work fine. So let's see, we need to bring in the science production. So let's do it like that. Like that. Like that, and like that. If I did that math correctly, yeah, this should fit in nicely in between. Now, in order to actually make use of the science facility and use the red science, a lot of the science production things will actually require us to have both red and blue science, and that means that they both need to go into the same Mater's lab. So if we set it up like this, similar to what we did before, lacking one, but we'll fix that in a moment. So I don't want to stop the blue science production downstairs because it's still working. There we go. We'll set this to red science. Now let's see, we need per 6 seconds, so if you multiply this by 3, it's per 2 seconds. We need quite a lot of graphite, which we have, but that's way more hydrogen than we are actually producing at the moment. So we want to up our hydrogen production a little bit in order to make sure this is actually working. And we also want to make sure that we are maximizing the use of our blue production. And there you can see the graphite is already coming in, so that's great. Just adding in, and I think you can only use one sorter as well, by the way, but yeah, I'll just add 2 to be safe. So this should now be taking in the graphite in a moment. I'll do it like that. We have all the science powered up as well. And we set that to production. Now we actually do need to transition the blue science over here as well. We'll do that in a moment, but first let's get our hydrogen even better up and running than we had before. We will need some more refineries for that, so let's go pick those up. They are over here. We have 8 of them by now. That's plenty, at least for the moment. The reason it's going relatively slow is that these what are they called? Prisms. That's what word I was looking for. Are being split over these 2 plasma exciters. This one will fill up relatively quickly though, so let's see, this is actually waiting for what? Oh, that's interesting. Circuit boards. Because we are actually mass producing blue science at the moment. That's okay. That's okay. we will be working on... Let's see, we already have quite a bit of a buffer of blue science build up over here. But yeah, we might actually want to upgrade the sorters on our... Because, like you can see, this was actually fully stacked up, but that's because of the long transfer distance. It was actually not producing optimally. With the Mark II build sorters, I can actually put them out a little bit faster. And while we're at it, we might as well upgrade the rest of this. And by doing that, we should make sure that we're now having all these circuit boards coming in and reaching our later building as well. Alright, anyway, back to the plan of building the oil production up over here. It's good to know that we're producing 2.6 oil here per second, and you can have about twice as many oil refineries in order to maximize the output. So in that case, this means we have a little bit room for a little bit over 5 oil refineries. So if we put down, let's say, well, this won't actually work. This is the wrong way around. Nice, another research completed.
Rare veins scatter around different planets. They will greatly improve production efficiency, so if you find them, collect them, and put them as a part of industrial production.
Put them as a part of industrial production. Great English over there. Let's see, this is 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we have room for a 6th, so this won't be fully producing, but we might as well make use of it. You can see we're running into a little bit of a power issue again, but it's not the biggest deal. And now we should have an optimal production of oil over here as soon as we place this last power node. There we go. Now we have a little bit of an overflow over here, so let's take that one out. And as you can see, we have quite a steady production of oil and hydrogen now. We have way more graphite than we need. Now, graphite is interesting because you can also burn it in your mech, and I actually recommend putting in one of these little gathering units in a similar position as we had all the other ones. So yeah, it doesn't need to be perfectly aligned, I guess. And again, just do one in, do one out. Don't completely fill it up, that's maybe a little bit overkill. But by doing this, you can easily get a few stacks of graphite, and you can put those in your mech. And actually, it turns out our mech is almost empty. So let's burn a little bit of the hydrogen oil that we picked up while we were making the little belts, and then we can have our first small stack of graphite to burn. And graphite is actually very high yield. It has 6.75 megajoules, and if you compare that to wood, let's put a little 3 over here. Wood only had 1.5 with the minus 10% in the food chamber generation, so that actually means it's 10% less than the 1.5 potential, while this has a plus 50%, so it's not just the 6.75, but there's actually 50% more than that on top of that, so that's really nice to have. And why you want to be burning either graphite or coal, it's quite similar in that way. Once you get access to it, no reason not to do so, to be honest. Alright, so let's get a few more of these little science production facilities. Oh yeah, we had that problem with the circuit boards. We actually have quite a few circuit boards with us. So let's have that charged up. As you can see, we're actually building this over here. And yeah, I actually changed my mind. Let's just double up on this. Might as well, why not? Take that out for a moment. Now let's take that out for a moment as well. Now let's just double up on this. We might as well. Now, that does mean we need to do it a little bit differently with our little storage facility, but I can show you how while we're at it in just a moment while we finalize the construction of this whole monstrosity over here.
Now, you can try to view the whole planetary system, and even the entire cluster, by clicking the star map button in the lower left corner of the screen.
Now we can actually view the entire system. Let's do that for a moment. There we go, this is our planet. This is a gas giant, which has some fire ice. Okay, so fire ice over here and hydrogen. Now we have a small tiny little planet over here, Ashira 1, that has titanium, quite a lot. Just a little bit of silicon. That's, yeah, there's still silicon over there. It has a very high degree of solar energy ratio, so if we have solar panels in a little bit, that will be quite useful. And then hopefully this planet has some more silicon. Yeah, there we go, 1.3 million silicon, also some titanium. Oh, and actually apparently fire ice as well over here, so that could be quite nice to mine. Yeah, let's see, this actually produces graphene and hydrogen, so that's quite nice. But for now, the first focus will be on the silicon ore and the titanium ore, to be honest. And since this has the most of both, this is probably the planet we'll be focusing on first. However, if we do that, we do need to take into account that there's no coal on this planet. And solar energy ratio is quite bad as well, so we'll need to build a lot of solar panels, which we need silicon in order to do so. Yeah, that's actually going to be quite interesting as well. We also have the wind energy ratio here at 0, so we can't actually use the turbines. So that could be an argument to go for this planet first. There's only a little bit of silicon over here, but again, 500,000 is quite a lot. But we do need to keep in mind that we will need to expand to the third planet quite quickly after that anyway. But it might be easier to start out on this planet for now, and it has the most titanium on it anyways, and that's the thing we need the most initially. Anyway, that's for next episode, I think. Let's just wrap this up, because we need to set up this red science production. Now we need some more of these science stations. We have 20 of them by now, so that's nice. Gave them a little boost. Like so. Now if I take that out, we'll probably have it exploding in our face. And that is not necessarily what we want. Although it doesn't really matter for now. Actually, it'll actually all fit in our inventory. There we go. I am actually going to move this out a little bit further. And I'll show you why in a second. Let's make this a full production of blue science. And more blue science over here as well. That does mean we need to take out this power pole. But that's okay. We can just put it down over here, just a little step ahead, and then do it like this. We'll make a road over here. I keep calling it roads. It's not roads, it's belts, but hey, you get it. And bring those over there, and then this will be the place where we are actually processing this stuff. Now, this is not a perfect ratio, but again, it doesn't really need to be. It'll be fine. If we want to be a little bit more efficient about it, we could actually do it like that. Like that. Then we need to make sure this is all powered. And a power pole over there as well. This will be producing red science. Ah, wait, this is of course not gonna work. Because we are exporting it from 2 of these towers. Silly me. There we go. In, out, out, in, out. I don't think this is exactly picking up this anymore, so let's do that as well. And then let's see what we also need. This is working, this is working. We need to make sure this is actually going in somewhere. There you go. And production, and production. And then finally, last but not least, we'll put down, let's see, how should we do this? We can have one over here, and we can have one over here. And again, in and out, and in and out. For the blue one, we actually had some blue signs on us. We had some red signs on us, so let's do it like that. And this will make sure we're actually using all of that. Now we actually queued up a research that requires us to have some steel. Luckily, we are mass producing steel at the moment. Apparently we didn't have anything on us, but we can simply grab this from the bar. And again, we might just want to put in some storage facilities here as well, just to make it a little bit easier for ourselves to pick up some steel or some glass if we would want it. So I will put that up in a moment as well. Let's see, about 10 more. There we go. There we go, 2 more of those. In and out, in and out. And again, you don't want this to fully stock up. So let's just set it to a few stacks. That should be more than enough. Now let's put some power towers there. Again, only need 1, but this looks prettier, so let's just make it 2. Now, as you could notice just a moment ago, our little energy circuit production was actually slowing down our entire process there a little bit. So what we can do is take out this power tower. So we should have more than enough materials. And the belts are slightly different over here. So let's just put in a fresh one and do it manually. So you grab, this one. You grab this. And then you can put it on the belt there and grab that one over there. And then we need to make sure everything is powered again. Just out of reach, that one. So 1 more power tower over there. And that should fix that. So let's check our power state as well. Need to make sure there's actually a recipe set for this. We are at around 80%. So what I will do before the next episode is wrap up our power situation a little bit more, so we are at full power again. As you can see, we are not fully making use of all the... why is this not producing anything? Oh, it has us actually have the export here. That might be useful to have. And what I would actually recommend once you unlock your red science is the first thing that you start researching is X-ray cracking. That will actually give you an alternative to make hydrogen and graphite at the same time by reworking on the refined oil that we just had. So you have hydrogen and oil going in, and hydrogen, but actually more hydrogen coming out with some graphite on top, and both of these items happen to be the stuff that we need for our research, our red research. So this will just make your whole red research a lot more efficient, and if you have it set up like this right now, that will be more than enough to have that powering up for a long time to go. So yeah, there's that. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.